Hello, Year 11. Welcome back to today's session. Today we're going to look at the health unit. Now, I know we haven't covered this yet, but this session is just to give you a bit of an introduction to what we will be looking at in September. Now, you could start today's lesson by doing the knowledge quiz on the Google form. Again, 10 multiple choice questions. This will really help with just refreshing that knowledge. So today we are going to look at the Britain Health and the People unit, which forms part of Paper 2, Shaping the Nation. Now, on the health unit, we will look at how medicine and people's health have changed and developed since 1000 AD. So this means we are looking at change and continuity and how we came to the medical system we have today. So obviously 1,000 years is a long time. So we need to understand the bigger picture, spot themes and patterns, as well as being able to give details and examples. Now, as you can see from this timeline, our course is divided into 4 sections. So section 1 is known as Medicine Stands Still. So this is in effect the medieval period up to about 1500. So in this period, we look at the impacts of religion on medicine, how public health was virtually non-existent, with people drinking beer and wine as open sewers ran through the streets into the rivers and the drinking water. So this links in to what we looked at last session on Norman towns. And we look at the different ideas about why you were ill and how best to help you. We also see some improvement in this time in terms of medical knowledge as universities and new ideas do begin to spring up. So we see the start of using urine charts being used to help treat people and diagnose what's wrong with them. Now, the Renaissance is our beginnings of change. So Renaissance means rebirth. So we look at discoveries in science and medicine, and the role of individuals features heavily in this period. We've got Ambrose Parr, who pioneered new surgical treatments. We've got Andreas Vesalius, who names every bone in the body. We also have William Harvey, who discovers that blood circulates around the body. Now, in this period, we also see the Great Plague of 1665, and we will look at how medical knowledge and understandings have advanced since the Black Death, with people understanding that diseases could be passed from person to person. So this is why we see many physicians at this time beginning to wear masks to visit their patients. Our next section is known as a revolution in medicine. So this is the 18th and 19th centuries. Now, in this period, we see a huge improvement in public health, with the government passing public health acts to improve people's living conditions. We also have Edward Jenner, who uses the first vaccination, Louis Pasteur, who discovers that germs exist, and then huge improvements in anesthetics and antiseptics, thanks to people like Simpson and Lister. And the fourth and final part of this GCSE unit is modern medicine. Now, although it says 20th century, so 1900 to 2000, we do actually go a bit further and look up to modern day. And we look at how war had a huge impact on medical advancement with the invention of the X-ray, first attempts at plastic surgery to help injured troops. We see the development of penicillin, the setting up of the NHS as a free national health service. We also see the introduction of social reforms and welfare, as well as the discovery of Crick and Watson about DNA, which helps us better understand how the body and diseases work. So your first section you're going to do today is a good old timeline. So for each event on this timeline, you need to decide whether it is to do with surgery, disease, or government. Now, an example of each has been done for you on either the Google Doc, or you can find this in your summer workbook. You can simply write or type your answer depending on what you're working on. The next bit is to use your completed timeline You need to look at all the ones you have marked as disease or surgery. How do you think these would have impacted on people's health? So think about how they would help people. How would they help the population as a whole deal with health? Then you're going to move on to your next section, which looks at smallpox. So smallpox was a deadly disease that killed thousands of people every year. It's a serious, highly contagious, and often life-threatening infection marked by a rash of round pox, so blisters, on the face, arms, and legs. Now, smallpox spread from contact with infected persons. Now, they believe that the disease came from the Crusaders in the Middle Ages, so travellers that had contracted it in Japan, China, and India. It was one of the biggest killers in the world. However, about 30 years ago, the World Health Organization declared that smallpox was now extinct throughout the world. And this is in part due to Edward Jenner, a country doctor from 1749 to 1823. He made the link between cowpox and smallpox. He tested his theory on a young boy named James Phipps. He took pus from a smallpox victim and infected Phipps and effectively created the first vaccination. So he noticed that milkmaids never contracted smallpox. In order to deal with this, he injected a young boy, so this is James Phipps, with cowpox and then infected him with a dose of smallpox. He then discovered that by doing this, the boy never contracted the disease. And so we have the first vaccination. Now, vacca is Latin for cow, and the vaccination actually contained cowpox, which is why it was termed vaccination. Because it contained cowpox, the recipients would then not contract smallpox. So to help make this a bit clearer, you have on either the Google Doc or on the summer workbook some text on Edward Jenner and the first ever vaccine. So you need to read through the text on Edward Jenner and answer the questions. You've got questions 1A to 1D are about the first bit of text, and 2A to 2D are about the second piece of text on opinions against vaccination at this time. There is also a short YouTube clip on Edward Jenner, which you can use to help you if you wish. And then your final task for this session is our favourite write an account question. So remember, write an account question are 8 marks. We're looking for 3 Peel paragraphs, and we are looking for you to write in chronological order. So you're writing about the events as they occur. So you've got an idea of what to write for each paragraph shown on either the Google Doc or the summer workbook, depending on which one you're looking at. So start off by telling us about Jenner and the cowpox. Your second paragraph should be on the experiment and the publication and his findings. You could also mention opposition here. And your final paragraph should look at the government support and the impact the vaccine had. You can use the information from the previous task, so the text, to help you with this. Make sure that you complete this on either the Google Doc or in your summer workbook. When you have completed all your work, if you've done it on the Google Doc, please make sure that you submit it through the Google Classroom. Well done for all your work today. We hope that you are staying safe and that we will see you soon.